Are you feeling pain that no doctor can help you with other than to give you a pill? A pill and says, this is an anti-inflammatory pill, it's going to help you get better. But then after time goes by, there are side effects to that pill. What if there's a way to reduce inflammation in your body that was natural and healing? Would you be interested in learning more? Well, we're very grateful. I'm very grateful today because we will be learning from former pro beach volleyball athlete and coach Andrew Vazquez, uh, and hyperbaric therapy owner, Beachside Hyperbaric, that this modality, this healing modality, not only changed his life, but he now, as the owner of Beachside Hyperbaric, is helping other people heal as well. Hi, my name is Lillian McDermott, and I am a certified life coach and the host of the Lillian McDermott radio show. If this is your first time tuning in, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Well, just recently, I've heard of hyperbaric therapy for a while, but I just recently, for the first time, got to experience this healing modality that helps with recovery after training. If you're an athlete, it helps with all sorts of inflammation in your body, which, let's face it, disease is like synonymous to inflammation. If there's inflammation in the body, your body's out of balance. So today we're going to be talking to Andrew Vazquez, who has experienced firsthand as an athlete what it is like to live in a place that of pain and recovery in a very short period of time. We're also going to be learning from Bruno Reale and Laurel Reale, who've also been impacted by hyperbaric therapy. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Andrew Vazquez is here to do just that. And also later on, we will bring Bruno and Laurel. Welcome, Andrew, to the classroom.
Hi, Lillian. Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So share a little bit about your background and what led you to become so passionate about hyperbaric therapy.
Well, I've been involved in sports my whole life. Grew up as a soccer player, transitioned into beach volleyball after a collegiate injury. Competed professionally for about 12 years and kind of transitioned into coaching and training. The first experience and kind of knowledge that I had in regards to hyperbaric was through a parent that I was working with in the club that I was running in Southern California. And she came to me and said, "Hey, out of all the holistic things that I've tried for my son, who ranks extremely high on the autism scale, I've tried this new therapy. It's called hyperbaric." And I went in and had a prescription written for my son. And after his session in the hyperbaric therapy, for the first time in my life, I felt like there was a brief period of time where he actually recognized me and knew who I was. It was a very impactful conversation, and she was kind enough to have her physician write a prescription for me so that I could go in and experience hyperbaric therapy. The first session for me was very enlightening. As an athlete, dealing with inflammation on basically a daily level, coming from workouts, coming from training, coming from excessive standing, just with coaching, it's always prevalent. You can always feel it. So being able to engage in something where I could literally feel the change in inflammation was very impactful. So that was really kind of the start of it for me.
Well, interesting that you would go from listening to your client that had a child with autism, which I know you're not autistic, that you would want to learn about it and want to get a treatment. And I heard you say that her doctor wrote you a prescription. Is this something that requires a script?
Back at that time, it was. So 15 years ago, 16 years ago, it was required. So if you wanted to do any type of oxygen-based therapy, you had to have a physician's approval. Florida was one of the few places back then where you could go in and basically have a more of a clinic setting where you could come in and basically just speak with a physician and they could give you the okay to do it. That's all changed over the last decade, thank goodness, as it's become more prevalent. And there's just been more hard and soft chamber places that have opened up across the country. But originally, 15, 16 years ago, you had to have a doctor's prescription.
Good to know. Good to know. So let's talk about hyperbaric. Let's, because this is our first time that we've had a show or a class on hyperbaric. So help us understand, what is a hyperbaric therapy?
Well, hyperbaric at the basic level is basically putting the body under pressure. And there's two types of tanks. There's a soft tank and a hard tank. And typically in a hospital setting, you'll see hard tanks. And hard tanks are capable of going up to higher pressures, and hospitals will deal with more grievous injuries. Soft tanks are a little lower level, but provide a very similar outcome in regards to helping the body heal. So the two different chambers are, I think, make it more readily accessible to everybody. Whereas before, being in a hospital setting, it was so expensive the majority of the time. It was so difficult to get through the red tape to receive treatment. It really kind of put it out of the reach of possibilities for the average person. Um, Hyperbaric therapy on its basic level is putting the body under pressure, which allows the red blood cells to transport more oxygen. So there's scientific laws that kind of prove that as a gas is put under pressure, the molecule size shrinks, and that will allow the red blood cells to carry more oxygen. As you increase pressure, you actually start to allow other bodily fluids to transport oxygen as well. So you get this kind of overwhelming cascade of oxygen within the body. And they've proven that at a clinical and a scientific level, that that cascade of oxygen actually starts a cascade of healing within the body. And that can be stem cell production, collagen production, reduction of inflammation, extra oxygen into areas of dense tissue, which would typically be considered the injured tissues, whether that be from impact, whether that be from wounds, whether that be from inflammation. With that pressure and those smaller oxygen molecules, we're able to now push oxygen into those areas more effectively, which again starts that kind of healing cascade and allows the body to really maximize its own potential for healing.
Wow. Okay. So that's all well and good. So help us bring it down to an area where layman people would relate, for someone who has, let's say, fibromyalgia or heart disease, or you mentioned autism. What are other conditions someone can relate to or can work with hyperbarics to help them improve? Because we talked about inflammation, and most everything is inflammation. But what are
Yeah, and
some of the
that's
cases that you've seen?
correct. And so I've been fortunate to deal with both the general population and athletes. And in California, I ran a small hyperbaric clinic as I'm starting up here, and it was very similar. I had the majority of the clientele were athletes, and we had kind of word of mouth that brought in people who were seeking out help in regards to other issues. And one of the most impactful things for me was watching kind of the side-by-side comparison of cancer treatment. And we had a client come in who had been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer and was given basically 3 months to live. At the same time, in my club, I had a parent who was diagnosed with a very similar type of brain cancer. I watched these two men, and both were similar ages, mid 60s. The one that was coming in for hyperbaric had a daughter that was into holistic healing. He switched his diet to a whole food plant-based diet. He was doing massage once a week. He was doing hyperbaric once or twice a week. He was using the beamer pad. He really attacked it from a lot of different modalities in regards to holistic healing. The other person in my club went complete kind of Western medicine and decided to go with chemotherapy and take medication and follow more of a prescriptive type of diet in regards to helping himself. And the doctors had not given him a terminal diagnosis, but over the course of 12 months, I watched the Western medicine parent literally fade away and pass away in about a 9 month period.
Mm.
And the client that was doing the holistic approach after being diagnosed with less than 3 months to live, 12 months later was still coming in for therapy and was going strong. So seeing something like that definitely created a deeper understanding of how impactful it could potentially be. I had seen it on kind of a surface level in regards to athletes and some basic, acute conditions that come up in regards to injury or smaller things. Now getting into more of the chronic conditions, I've been fortunate to work with people who are dealing with Lyme, mold issues, lupus, Parkinson's. We've kind of seen a mix of a lot of different things, and fortunately, we've seen benefits for everyone across the board. And those benefits vary from person to person. It can be something pretty extreme, and I've seen someone come in for dementia-related issues and concerns after being retired for 5 years and starting back at work again and feeling uncomfortable that they're having trouble recalling some of the basic things they feel like they used to be able to use on a daily basis. 5 sessions later, they're off and running, and we don't hear from them again because it's been so successful. And then we're dealing with people who with Lyme who come in for 40 or 50 treatments before they feel like they've found the resolution that they're looking for, the energy level, the mental stability and capability to get back to what they consider kind of their daily routines in life.
So how long is a treatment? Because a treatment, most people, when they think of a treatment, they look at the whole commitment that is involved. So whether it's 5 treatments or 40 treatments, what is involved for an individual as they face, wanting to do this naturally, reduce inflammation? How many treatments do they need? How often can they go? Once a month or once a week? How does it work?
That really seems to be the question mark and the X factor with hyperbaric. And there's depending on which resource you're looking at, you'll see different answers that range anywhere from 5 visits up to 120 visits. And one of the more impactful ones that I saw was a SPECT scan, which is the gold standard for scanning the brain and blood flow to the brain. And they showed that someone who was dealing with a loss of 80% of blood flow to one side of the brain had completely restored that over the course of 120 hyperbaric sessions.
Wow.
So that to me would be kind of the long term of what someone wanted to accomplish. I think for most people, if they're cognizant of things in their daily life, if they're making sure that they're continuing to fine tune their nutrition, if they're getting the exercise that they need and that their body deserves, if they're doing other things to maintain their health and improve their health, typically hyperbaric will work in the 5, 10, maybe 20 visit range to where it's really kind of sparked that healing cascade. The client has felt a significant change and difference, and they're able to kind of pursue that more on their own without necessarily needing hyperbaric on a consistent basis. Lots of people still want to come in for maintenance. They'll still come in once a month. They'll still come in once a week. It becomes part of a very good health routine for myself as an athlete and wanting to still train and compete and be as healthy as I possibly can. I try to get in at least once a week, and that really depends on the schedule. I'd say that my average is once every 2 weeks, and it makes a significant difference.
And I want to go back to a comment you made about the people at the gym, the 2 men that chose different routes for treatment of cancer. In no way is Andrew making a claim that this cures cancer, the hyperbaric therapy cures cancer. He's just sharing a story that he experienced. So I just want to make sure that I make that that I state this. So are there, because I personally tried hyperbarics, and I was in there from an hour to sometimes 90 minutes, and and I was able to work inside there. And I remember Andrew saying to me, okay, while you're in there, because I don't know what it was, I hurt my knee, and he goes, when you go in there, just move around, see how you feel. And I would move around, and wow, I can move my knee all the way. I couldn't do it before. So, or my leg. So what are some of the the dosing, I would say, I don't know if it's called dosing. Is it an hour minimum, or can you go for less time? Can you do it every day? Are there any limitations to how many times you can do hyperbaric therapy?
Well, clinically, they have protocols where extreme cases will actually go 3 sessions a day. So it can get pretty intensive. I think for the typical person, once a day, and normally in the beginning, you would want to do more sessions consecutively to really kind of engage or trigger that cascade of healing reaction within the body. So what we'll typically see is people will come in and do 5 sessions in a row and take a couple days off. They'll do 2 rounds of that or 3 rounds of that, 4 rounds sometimes before they taper off into more of a maintenance type of approach. But again, that's all kind of relevant to what you're hoping to treat. We are currently treating someone who's dealing with open wounds, and they were caused by some type of inflammatory or I guess kind of aggravated allergic reaction to a steroid that he was taking to help with another issue in his body. And it opened up wounds on his feet and lower legs that wouldn't heal. So he came in and immediately started doing 2-hour sessions in the hyperbaric chamber. He was going 5 days a week with 2 days off. And within 4 weeks, he had already heard from his wound doctor who was monitoring these wounds, basically surprised that one of the wounds on his foot had completely healed up and disappeared. So that really kind of triggered his understanding and desire to keep that protocol going. So he's in the process of continuing to kind of heavily, attack that, so to speak, with the hyperbaric therapy, and it's proving very beneficial for him. So he's stuck with it. I think we're about 2 months in right now, and we're seeing those wounds basically one by one close up.
And I remember you sharing that you had a situation where you were injured as an athlete. How did hyperbaric therapy help you get back to the level of performance that you are today?
Well, and this one is near and dear because I hear it from a lot of people, and I'm currently 51, and probably 10 years ago I was diagnosed with tricompartmental osteoarthritis in my left knee. And I had a couple more Western medicine based doctors tell me that I shouldn't squat below 10% and that I would be a early candidate for a knee replacement.
Mm.
Um, I didn't take that lightly, and I picked up the amount of hyperbaric therapy I was doing and made that more of a purpose in regards to a consistent method of helping myself heal. And over the course of 10 years, I'm doing full squats with 100% range of motion. I still have picked up the activity that I do and gone back to playing volleyball. So I typically play 2 or 3 times a week, and that involves maximal physical effort and jumping. So this is something that was supposedly out of reach for me 10 years ago in regards to the perspective of some Western medicine doctors. And that's something that I really try to bridge the gap, I think, of understanding with a lot of people that doctor or not, health holistic practitioner or not, you're still getting someone's perspective on your body. And I think the reality is that you're capable of understanding what your body potentially needs. You can accept guidance from a lot of different areas and a lot of different people, but it should always be part of a kind of mass of information that you're putting together to make the most informed and the most educated decisions for yourself in regards to how to help yourself heal and move forward.
Wonderful. Now, and from there, you've become a licensed massage therapist. What certifications do you need to have to be able to run a hyperbaric chamber?
Well, soft tanks, it's I equate it similar to medical marijuana, and it's really regulated differently state to state and at the national level. So they're just now starting to come up with some protocols and some, I guess, kind of certificates in regards to running hyperbaric chambers. When I originally opened my clinic back in Los Angeles, none of that even existed. So it's
Mm.
something that's constantly changing, and I think something that will continue to help kind of improve the overall knowledge in regards to hyperbarics. For myself, most of my background comes from physical training. So as a personal trainer, certified sports nutritionist, level 3 RFST practitioner, which is kind of a movement-based philosophy on how to regain health and wellness.
Mhm.
Um, all those I think play into the understanding of how to help people heal. Hyperbaric is, um, I mean, it's extensive. The amount of time it's been around. I think the first use was reported in 1662
Mm.
when they started experimenting with it, and the first clinical data or first clinical paper came out in 1956. So this isn't this isn't a science that's new to the public. It's just something that unfortunately has been a little, I guess, brushed aside or overlooked because I think of potentially how helpful it can be.
Well, the first time I ever heard of hyperbaric therapy is when I was studying to become a diver. And well, there was a condition called the bends that when you'd go up too fast, the lungs would get overly taxed and could explode, is what I understood. I remember reading that chapter and could barely breathe. So is that what they were using it for at that time? And then they found that there were benefits from there, or because that was the first time I ever heard of it. It was for people that were divers.
That's where most people have heard of it. So it has been used primarily for that, but interestingly enough, they were using it for medical healing at the same time. It just wasn't really brought into the public eye. So they had, and I think it was as early as 1940, there was a physician in Kansas that built a 5-story hyperbaric chamber that he could put 40 people into. They were finding that much success in regards to helping heal things that were unexplainable or things that were just difficult to heal in general. But it has been, unfortunately, more on the back burner until I think really the last couple years, and COVID, for better or for worse, helped bring more of that to light because people were really trying to figure out how to deal with a lot of the bronchial issues that went along with that. And so they were coming to hyperbaric in regards to treating the bronchial issues, avoiding respirators, any type of similar approach. And it really kind of exploded the last couple of years, the soft tanks. Now you're seeing a lot of chiropractors have them in their offices, a lot of kind of individual clinics and practitioners like myself. The hospitals have increased their capability of taking more people in because it has become more prevalent, and you're seeing other countries. And the one that stands out to me is Russia, where they have a facility, and I believe they said there's 90 tanks in the
Wow.
one facility that they have in Moscow, and that they are treating over 90 different things, all through an insurance-based process in regards to hyperbaric. And the United States, we're a little behind. I think through insurance, they've only cleared, I believe it's 17 different things right now that can be covered by insurance, whereas most
Wow.
other countries, they're covering 80, 90, 90 plus different things through their insurance.
Wow, wow. Especially that because being part of the experience of hyperbaric therapy, I know that I control the pressure. You have to equalize, you have to blow your nose if your ears kind of get poppy, like when you are on a plane.
Yep.
And I can imagine having, 55 people, 40 people experiencing something different. How did they get through, a 5-story or a hyperbaric chamber? Because that to me would be like a bunch of people going, wait a minute, go back.
Yep.
You wouldn't be able to. I can't imagine that happening. So
Well, and so I've spoken to some people who've been to hospital settings where they have tanks where, 8 or 10 people can go in. And that's been the frustration for them, is they say that it's every third or fourth session that they go in and they have to stop the session because one person has to be pulled out. Someone can't equalize their ears, someone can't quite get things to clear. And so that has been frustrating. And I think that's where the soft tank market is really going to pick up. When I first started hyperbaric, 15 years ago, it was such a noticeable difference that I really told all the people that I was working with at the time in the athletic world. I said, at some point, and I'm not sure when this transition will happen, because it will be swept under the carpet because of how beneficial it is. But at some point, I feel like hyperbaric will basically be the new Starbucks. It will be something where on a lunch break, people will go in for a 30-minute burst. When they take breaks during the workday, maybe big corporations will start having these chambers, like a Google or something will have these chambers in office for people to use. I think it really will take the place of coffee and some of the other things that people use to kind of keep themselves up and going all day long, because it's something that will provide a very similar effect over a more gradual period of time, and something that will be beneficial for the body, both short term and long term.
Very good, very good. How can people find you if they if they want to call you to ask you questions? Because I know you are in Florida. Um,
Yep.
yes, what is your address, your new address?
Yeah, we're in Satellite Beach. So we're 476 A1A in Satellite Beach. We have some type of article or ad that typically runs in Natural Awakenings every month. People can always find us in there. And then website, beachsidehyperbaric.com. And we have a ton of research, documented research information up on the website. We have a lot of maybe similar to anecdotal, but I think a little more. A little stronger than anecdotal, because a
Mhm.
lot of athletes are using this. And so you can kind of see the list of professional athletes. You can see the list of people like a Joe Namath, who's recovered from some pretty severe dementia issues. You can look through all the research articles, and we have them literally separated by specific concerns. So whatever you feel like you might want to try hyperbaric therapy for in regards to your own body and your own healing, you'll see it categorized on our research page, and you can look at specific articles that relate directly to what you're dealing with. And then, of course, you can always reach out to me through email or phone. I love to research, and I've already had some people come in. I think the newest or most recent one is a elderly lady who's recovering from a stroke. And so I'm learning all about the different types of stroke and kind of strokes, and helping her research, as well as doing my own research to figure out the best protocols, the best timing, the best approach, in regards to helping hyperbaric therapy really help her on her road to looking for 100% recovery.
Oh, wonderful, Andrew. And so for those of you who have are interested in learning more, if you go to my blog, if you are a subscriber at whenyounneedafriend.com, if you are a subscriber, then you know that you can absolutely go to the blog for this week, and then you can click on it, and you have all of Andrew's information for Seaside hyperbaric.com. So go to whenyounneedafriend.com. While you're there, please subscribe, like, and follow me on all social media. Check out my sponsors, support them the way that they're supporting the classroom. There are other ways that you could support the classroom as well. You can go to my Shop Now bag, and when you go there, you can check out all these Lilly approved products that I use. Some of them are affiliates, others are not. This is just my way of saying this is what I do. I get lots of questions all the time. What do I use for my body, my health and wellness? And so I'm happy to bring the information of hyperbaric therapy. I myself have had, I think, 10 or 11 dives is what they call them with hyperbaric. And so I want to encourage you that if this is something that resonates with you, to give it a try. At first, it seems, a little like, what am I going to do here? But then it's very calming. So there's so many different things that you can do to learn how to grow and heal yourself. Other things that you can look for, as you know, in honor of Dr. Lorraine Day's life, we are giving away 100 lessons from the Exodus. This is a DVD, and for those of you who live out of the country that would like to get your name in the winner's basket, Just make sure that if you want a DVD and you live out of the country, that you pay for your own shipping, or we can give you the online version of the 100 lessons from the Exodus. There's so many different workshops that you can go to and learn from at whenyouneedafriend.com. But most importantly, on February 3rd, we have an event called I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. And that is February 3rd in Rockledge, Florida. So if you haven't marked your calendars, do it, because this is going to be an amazing event that will be life-changing. So if you want to join us, please get your tickets now, because by December 31st, the price goes up. So make sure that you are a part of this wonderful, it's our second annual I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. Last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom, whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month, or a one-time donation of whatever you can afford. We are very grateful in the classroom, whether it's your time, your talent, your treasure, all is welcome. So thank you so much for giving and giving generously. So Andrew, we have some friends going to be joining us, and I know that you're going to like disappear for a little bit because they're going to be coming in. Can you share a little bit about your friends that have gone through hyperbarics?
Sure. Laurel is a volleyball athlete and someone that I've trained for an extended period of time. She has kind of led the way through the years in a lot of the athletes I've worked with. She had a Division I career and set some national records. Still holds an NCAA record for, I think she's maybe ranked number 2 in most wins in the NCAA tournament for beach volleyball. She has 2 national championships at USC. Bruno, her husband, is a jiu-jitsu prodigy, started young, has trained his entire life, both phenomenal athletes and phenomenal people. And they do a lot of things to stay healthy. So they aren't just into hyperbaric, they're into fitness in general. And I think, like a lot of people nowadays, they're always looking for something to continue to help themselves improve. And whether that be through education, whether that be through nutrition, whether it be through fitness, they're hungry for knowledge and they're hungry to improve their lives.
Wonderful, wonderful. With that being said, why don't you guys come out, Bruno and Laurel? I'd love to see you. There you go. Welcome to the classroom. Yes.
So much for
I'm-
having
Thank you
us.
for having us.
Yes, yes. And so, Andrew, if you want to turn off your camera, we can just highlight them and then we'll get you back on. So what a great introduction, huh, guys? Yes. Okay. So
Absolutely.
let's start with Laurel, because you probably have the longest relationship with Andrew.
Yes.
And so first it starts with him coaching you as a volleyball star.
Thank you.
But then at what point did you decide that you wanted to try hyperbarics?
Yeah, so I started actually training for Andrew when I was about 10 years old.
Wow.
So it's been 18 years of tutelage to this point. We started using hyperbaric therapy when I started to get into high school. I was probably about 14 or 15 years old the first time I used it, so about 13 years ago or so. And we originally started using it when I would travel from California, where I grew up, to Florida, and we would use it surrounding a big national tournament here in Orlando, or which isn't too far from where we live now. And I started using it as mainly an athletic recovery modality, trying to help oxygenate the body. I remember I didn't quite understand all of the aspects of it, but I knew that I needed as much oxygen as possible to feel good and to feel like I could recover from the flight and to prepare for a long 4-day tournament. So we started using it for that originally. Over the years, especially as I was late in high school, I unfortunately went through some really troubling family issues. And in the years following, hyperbaric for me became not only an athletic recovery tool, but actually an emotional recovery tool to help deal with grief and stress. And so that was the biggest thing, was being able to, I think, put all of the pieces together to not just feel well physically, but to also feel well emotionally. And for me, it was a a huge help, because when you're in the chamber, not only are you getting the physical benefits, you also get time to relax. You're kind of in this pod, so it's a little bit of an insulated space to just read, relax, work, like you said, meditate. And for me, it became really helpful. Off and on through the years, I've done it many different ways. I've used it 2 times a day leading up to a big beach volleyball tournament, which is what I specialize in now, beach volleyball. Or I would use it once a day, a couple days in a row during heavy training cycles. Other times I would use it once a week or once every other week. I've gone away for it for a couple months before when I'm feeling great, and then I end up always coming back. And even on Sunday night this week, I used it for the first time in a long time. And I came out of the chamber and I told Andrew, why have I just been waiting? It was such a relief. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I felt like I had more space in my neck, in my shoulders, and all of that, of course, is a result of not only the volleyball positioning and moves that we do, but also the stress, because we hold our tension up high. So it was very helpful for that.
Wow, that's great. That's a great it's a different perspective to hyperbarics. And I wanted to bring the psychological aspect of hyperbarics, because you can do whatever it is that you feel that you want to do. But it's interesting that you had such a connection when it came to the trauma in your life, and that you were able to just decompress, allow yourself to let it go.
Right.
But here's the thing that we do: we forget to come home. We
Yeah.
forget to come home to what we know works best for us. And so you started your story, and then all of a sudden you shared, it's like, why haven't I done this? Because we forget to go home to what works best for us. We take care of everybody else, and we forget to take care of ourselves. So you remembered, right? While you were there the other night, you remembered, this is
Exactly. It was great timing to be able to come in and speak with you today. And I think for both Bruno and I, we've received a lot of those benefits. And it's nice because when you're an athlete, you have to not only be, physically sharp and recovered and feeling great and being able to consistently train. There's so much mentally and emotionally that goes into that. And to be able to have like a clear frame of mind has been super important to me. And then of course, now as we've kind of transitioned from the West Coast to the East Coast, from working for other people to working for ourselves with our businesses, it's become even more of an important aspect for us. And so we're really grateful for Andrew's support, and that he's kind of encouraged us time and time again to keep going with what works, which for me has been hyperbaric therapy.
Very good. Have you tried other modalities that and that you keep going, compare, contrast, this works best for me as opposed to this? Okay, so
the only thing that has really come close, I've done a little bit of breath work off and on, like Wim Hof breathing. And I don't think it's really a coincidence, because again, it's all oxygenation. And kind of with Wim Hof, you're hyperventilating to create that. Whereas in hyperbaric, it's a little bit more passive. You can relax and just, there's something very inviting about that, of like letting it do the healing for you. And of course, in terms of modalities, we're training, eating healthy, trying to get as much sleep as we can, as difficult as that can be. I've tried IV therapy, different kind of, electrical stim units, compression pants, everything. And hyperbaric has for sure been
keep coming home. That's right. That is home for you. That's good. And you know what? Not to cut down any other therapy, because they all work together too. And so good for you. I'm glad that you discovered that, and that you remembered that this is home for you as well. So thank you so much, Laurel. Okay, so how did you meet Bruno, and how did this all start? Bruno, had you done, and welcome, both of you, welcome to the classroom. So Bruno, had you experienced because at 10, I'm sure you didn't know each other at 10.
No.
So have you experienced hyperbaric therapy before you met Laurel?
No, I started going into the chamber and experiencing the hyperbaric therapy after I met Laurel, and it's been of great help. You know, not only to assist me recovery physically, but as well as she said, mentally and emotionally.
We met because we became friends when I started jujitsu.
Oh, okay.
So immediately, it was nice to meet another athlete who was driven, who understood the kind of rigors that you go through with competition. And we also both, I think, very passionate about coaching our sports. And so it was an easy friendship from the get-go of just trying to exchange ideas of how do we keep up with the intensity of it. How are you instructing? What are some of the strategies that you use with people? And we just from there hit it off, because it is kind of rare to find another athlete sometimes that I feel like I can relate to like that.
Yeah.
And maybe after a year or so, we got you into the chamber. I
Yeah.
think that's about right.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
and I remember the first time you came out of the chamber, it was really nice.
I'm regret that I didn't start early.
Yeah.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
I say that I regret that I didn't start earlier.
Oh, okay. I see. Yes. So share a little bit about your child prodigy, jiu-jitsu. So when did you start with jiu-jitsu?
So I was born and raised in Brazil, and I started jiu-jitsu when I was 14 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I played soccer before that. I was always very into sports since a very early age. And I started when I was 14, and I never stopped. I've been training and coaching for over 16 years now. And I love it so much from the moment that I started that I made it my profession, my job, and my in a way my life mission as well.
Very good. So so now you own your own company, your own jiu-jitsu, I guess a clinic. I don't know, how would you call it?
A jiu-jitsu school.
School. And now you're
Yeah.
training students. But what got you to that point? Because you've known Laurel for over a year. And so what got you? What was your moment that you said, you know what, let me try this? Was there anything going on with you, or that you wanted to experience and improve?
So I met Laurel when we were friends very quickly, but I didn't share much with her initially. At some point, she, started to understand and to know more about what I was going through. At that time, I was going through a very serious case of depression. I've dealt with depression since my teenage years. And at that specific moment in my life, I was going through a very difficult period. And once she found that out, she wanted to help me. She wanted to, assist me in any way she could. And she suggested that I took some sessions, and that really assisted me. That really helped me from the very beginning, from the very first session. I felt that that was contributing to my health and contributing to my emotional and mental health as well, not only physical. So when I started seeing the benefits and when I started feeling the benefits, I just kept going with the sessions and with the therapy. And to this day, I always love to get my time inside of the chamber.
Very good. Very good. Go ahead, Laurel.
Thank you. I just wanted to share that I think it was really cool because Bruno was very open-minded about it, and I still knew how his mind worked. So I remember sharing some. I found some research online about depression, anxiety, and specifically how it had been applied to people with PTSD. And so I started sharing that. And once he got in the chamber, finally, I remember when you came out of it, because it was really one of the first times that I had seen him like flushed in his face, like he had life truly in his face. And not only that, but I felt there was just like this more excitement for life. And obviously, when you have a friend who's going through something like that, it really stands out to you that, okay, this, whatever happened, let's do this again. And let's try to do it consistently. And I think from there, you tried to get in about once a week.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I think maybe the first week or two, you did it twice a week.
Yeah.
But that was really impactful.
Yeah. Well,
That's a great story. Great story. Go ahead, Bruno.
I was just gonna say all of that thanks to Andrew as well, because I didn't know Andrew directly. I met him through Laurel, and the moment he heard that I was going through what I was going, he also, suggested that I took the sessions, and it's been great. But I didn't have any experience with it before, and I'm grateful that now I have the experience, I have the opportunity, and I'm always having the sessions every opportunity I have.
Wonderful. Andrew, you can come out too, so we could all have a conversation. So I'm grateful that you shared your experience, Bruno, because when you think about it, there are people in this world that are suffering, and they're being given medication that the side effect is depression. It's the medication that the side effects is suicidal ideology. And so how wonderful that you were able to experience something natural, and be able to say, oh, okay, maybe there's something that I wasn't getting before. Maybe we're not breathing well. So thank you so much for sharing that, because someone who is experiencing this right now and have no other place to go, today they'll find out that they can go to Hyperbaric to help with their depression as well. So thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely. And like I said, I've dealt with it since I was a teenager, and I tried many different things, before, many different kind of treatments. Each of them, have a different goal, different treatments. They will try and assist you in different ways. Hyperbaric sessions have helped me in a very specific way, and they are not. It's not a better treatment for someone else, maybe.
For
me,
you.
yes. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. That's awesome. So Bruno and Laurel. Okay, so Bruno, share where people can find your school of jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely. So we're located in Indian Harbor Beach, Florida, and we're a new school. This is my life's work, basically. I've been planning and dreaming and organizing this for so many years already, and it finally came through. And now we're located in Indian Harbor Beach, Florida, and we have classes for beginners, adults, kids, every level, and that's a wonderful thing. We're very excited to assist anyone that is interested in learning jiu-jitsu.
Wonderful. And what is your website that people can go to?
It's vincijiujitsu.com. So Vinci is the name of my school. It's VINCI jiu-jitsu.com, and you'll find all the info that you need on our website.
Wonderful. And I will add it to the oh gosh, what do you call it? The area, what is it called?
The show notes.
Yeah, the show notes. I will add it to the show notes. So Laurel, for you, how can people find you? Because I know you're a coach, you're coaching as well.
Yes, so I coach beach volleyball now, both at the national team level and at the local level. I love bringing the professional techniques and breaking them down for beginners or, through that high school age. I also work with adults. So people can find me at laurelweaver.com, which is my maiden name. That's LaurelWeaver.com, or Laurel Reale VB on social media. And I am also assisting our kids' classes at the gym because I have a passion for jujitsu now. And we're also building an awesome women's empowerment class to teach self-defense for women, which is something that's what brought me into jujitsu. And I absolutely love it, just for the, again, whole mind, body, spirit aspect of it. So we would love to have anyone join us that wants to come.
So even 60-year-olds like me can start new?
Absolutely.
I would love to maybe follow up with you guys and do a class on the women empowerment.
Absolutely. We would be happy to have anyone that is interested in learning self-defense, a different kind of exercise, martial arts. And, we have kids starting at 5 years old. I just had two men starting these last week. One of them is 66, the other one is 72. And I'm more than happy to, have anyone that is interested in learning self-defense.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story as well. So Andrew, what would you like? Because we only have like 4 minutes left. Did I tell you this is going to go really fast?
You did.
We only have about 4 minutes left in the classroom. What do you want people to know if they were to just tune in right now about this healing modality, hyperbaric therapy? What would you like people to know?
Well, I think there's two things that really come to mind, and number one is that I've looked at and kind of dabbled in all the different holistic approaches because my family has been in holistic medicine for 3 generations. So I've seen, I think, the majority of the approaches. And every time that I get to the foundational concept behind these approaches, it typically boils down to some concept regarding creating better blood flow, energy flow in general, and bringing oxygen to areas that are not getting the oxygen they need. And that seems to be kind of the foundational premise. I call hyperbaric therapy skipping the middleman. Even as a licensed massage therapist, I still put hyperbaric therapy first. Hyperbaric therapy has been clinically and scientifically proven to bring oxygen to those areas and to increase oxygen. One of the most exciting new protocols for hyperbaric therapy, and they discovered this in Tel Aviv, so one of the biggest centers in the world, and they figured out that by intermittently using the mask, so only taking oxygen supplementation part of the time that you're in the tank, that you can actually create a hypoxic type of reaction in the body without the actual hypoxia. So your body will be triggered to create more stem cells, more collagen production, and have more mobilization, which is what they've shown, of stem cell activity. So that means that the stem cells will actually move and congregate in areas where they need to do the most work. And I think that's one of the most exciting things that I've seen in regards to hyperbaric. Now that people are actually publishing a lot of these protocols, that it's becoming more acceptable to be talking about it and have it out in the public eye. That's definitely the most exciting new thing that I've seen in regards to hyperbaric.
Very good. Very good. Thank you so much for that. Bruno, would you like to share anything else about hyperbaric and that you would like for someone tuning in right now to learn in less than a minute?
There's so many benefits. It's hard to, put it in 1 minute. But if you need to, recover from any kind of inflammatory process that your body is going through, in my opinion, there's no better therapy than that. If you're dealing with, different kinds of health issues, you will find something great in the hyperbaric chamber therapy that will help you. So it's very difficult to put in 1 minute, but
You did it. I think you did it.
Something that can assist anyone, independently of what their health is.
Very
And
good. Thank you. What about you, Laurel?
you deserve it. I think that that's like the biggest thing, is actually allowing yourself to go do it. Instead of, just like, oh, maybe that's good for someone else. Just go try it, because we all deserve to feel our best. I really believe that.
Wonderful. Well, this has been really exciting. I know I have some treatments left, because or maybe my husband will decide to take these the treatments, but
Hopefully.
but this is wonderful. Thank you so much, all of you. Andrew, Bruno, Laurel, thank you all for being in the classroom today, because this is information that will empower somebody else. When you share, it gives people the opportunity to examine their own life honestly, so that they can choose the best life for them. So thank you all for sharing today. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott, Andrew Vazquez, and Bruno and Laurel Reale, wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job.
Yeah.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps